If you have been watching this channel for the last few years, you can probably guess that I'm a pretty big fan of Broadway Limited. For InScale, they're really pushing boundaries of what is possible, and they put out arguably the widest variety of in-scale locomotives, including steam, diesel, electric, all of those. But I haven't always been a fan of them. As a matter of fact, it was quite the opposite. Why did I not like them? And what changed? And what does it have to do with their in-scale ST70? Hey everybody, my name is Jimmy. Welcome to Coffee and Train. Today I'm just drinking some Donut Shop coffee. If you want to tell me what kind of coffee you are drinking and have it featured just like these guys right here, you can do that in the comments below. And who knows, you might see your name and comment pop up on an episode of Coffee and Trains. I love doing that. Cheers, guys. This is a Broadway Limited in-scale EMD SD70 ACE from their latest run. And this is an in-scale EMD SD70 ACE from Broadway Limited with their Paragon 3 decoder installed. And this thing was a problem child from day one. I've actually got some video. The stutter that you see here made the locomotive virtually impossible to run consistently. I actually had several Paragon 3 diesels and they had similar issues. This is the last one that I actually still own that's Paragon 3. I've tried everything to get this to run. I thought it may be a power issue, so I increased the voltage to my track. I furiously cleaned the rails. Nothing was working. This was until I came across a forum post that said the locomotives sometimes come with too much lubrication from the factory and it leaks down over the contacts, causing some electrical issues. So I took the locomotive apart, cleaned the contacts, and presto! Now, I know that Paragon 3 had other issues for other people, but the stuttering issue is one I have seen the most across the board. It also explains why the Paragon 3 steam engines don't experience it nearly as much because the differences in the drive mechanism. So, what changed? How did I go from not wanting to have Broadway Limited locomotives to having them occupy a significant portion of my collection? Well, that is Paragon 4. The bottom line is that Broadway Limited listened and fixed issues that they had with Paragon 3 and InScale. One of the biggest additions in the Paragon 4 lineup is something that they call added capacitance. Now, you may know this as Keep Alive, though that is the trademark TCS name for it. What it basically is a capacitor attached to the decoder that keeps enough charge in it to get it over dirty spots in the track or spotty connection points. This literally made my BLI locos some of my smoothest runners. They're able to coast over spots on my track that are known dead zones that none of my Katos, Atlas, or Scale Trains locos can cross without at least a slight hiccup. I have no issue recommending a Paragon 4 locomotive to anyone. They are fantastic.
Now, when it comes to the SD70 here, there's one specific thing that I noticed as definitely a huge change between the Paragon 3 version and these newer versions. And that is, you can see with the older versions, it just had the pure contact strips that it would connect to. When you look at the newer version, you can see that they have soldered wires to the track feeders. And that is a big difference, and that's going to make a big difference with getting power to the motor and the decoder. So that's going to kind of bypass that whole lubrication issue right there.
Another thing that I like about the newer Broadway Limited locos is the Stealth line, which is actually what this is right here. Stealth is their DCC Ready line that they recently brought back. It's a great way to get a high detail and high quality locomotive at a more affordable price. And if you want to add your preferred sound or non-sound decoder, the in-scale ones are outfitted with a Next 18 socket that comes with pre-installed speakers, so all you gotta do is pop on a sound decoder. I put a Soundtracks decoder in this one. As expected from Broadway Limited, the locomotive is highly detailed and prototypically accurate, with separately painted and applied details. This thing will look amazing on your layout. So let's run it. And just for fun, let's consist it with my Paragon 3 SD70. I used to be nervous about buying Broadway Limited when they had Paragon 3. Now, with Paragon 4, I've had zero issues and own over a dozen Paragon 4 locomotives. If you are like me and shied away from Paragon 3, you don't need to have the same fears about Paragon 4. And if you have Paragon 3 locomotives that have become shelf queens, you can pay $100 plus shipping to have BLI swap out the decoders for Paragon 4. And this is about the same cost as trying to rig an ESU or Soundtracks decoder there without the hassle of actually having to do it. Plus, if you just need one of their locomotives repaired, it is actually one of the simplest processes that I have been through. It takes a little while, but it's definitely a great process to work through. I did it with my big boy when one of the drive rods snagged on some scenery and broke off, and it was an easy process. Bottom line, Broadway Limited fix the issues, and that's a good thing because you want a brand to not only listen and address complaints from customers, but also to keep churning out unique products. Yes, the majority of releases we see are EMDs and GEs from many manufacturers, but Broadway Limited has given us an N-scale Big Boy and Reading T1 with smoke, a Y6B, a Pacific, Mikado, Pennsy T1, and have locomotives like a UP Challenger with smoke coming up, the Santa Fe Northern, plus they have a ton of fantasy schemes, which I know isn't for everybody, but is typically something you only see on places like in the O-scale world. Every model company has its own specialty, and Broadway Limited's is a relatively unique set of models. Even this run of SD70s has a couple of fantasy schemes. Thank you for listening to us N-Scalers Broadway Limited, because sometimes we feel like second-class citizens. Before we go, check out some of these model railroad businesses.
Trains in the Valley. Trains in the Valley is a model train shop located in Pennsylvania. They sell new and used model trains with a mission to make trains accessible to everyone. You can check them out at trainsinthevalley.com, link in the description. Penguin 3D Workshop offers 3D prints and electronics for model railroading, specializing in hard or impossible to find train parts, and they also offer custom designing and printing.
Thank you all so very much for watching. Until next time, I'm Jimmy from the DIY and Digital. Stay safe, be kind, drink some coffee, and happy railroading.